Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at how we manually draw and edit a field boundary. We'll first look at how we manually create a field boundary and then how we use auto draw to create a boundary as well, using some yield data. And then we'll look at how we edit a field boundary that has already come into the software. Righto, so we're going to look at creating a boundary for a field based on some yield data. So we're now in pond field. So we'll highlight pond field in our management tree. We'll right mouse click and go edit boundaries. Then we'll move up to the toolbar and select the auto draw button. And by selecting the auto draw button, we have to put the equipment width of the machine that has created the data. So in this instance, it's obviously a combine, which is 6 meters, and we're going to go from an area of no hectares. Now, depending on the size of field that you've got, and whether you've got creeks running in it, or pools, or ponds, or anything like that, we'll have to alter the size of this. In this field there's no, it's a very straight and regular field, so we're going to leave that at 0. You might want to put it up to 1, we might want to put it up to 2, depending on the size of the field that you've got, but you come to that, and best to try it to start off with. So the larger the field, the more issues you have with it. I would say ponds and pools and creeks and the like, then this figure will start to go up. But here we'll just click 0 and then we'll click OK, and it will calculate the boundary for us. The software does sort of tend to show it's not responding and freeze very quickly, and you think, oh my god, what's going wrong? But it's working fine, not a problem at all. And then once it's completed, we'll see that we have a boundary now around the outside of the yield data that we've got. If we're happy with the boundary that's been created, then we'll click Save and Close. And then if we remove the yield data job, we'll see that we have the field boundary there available for us. Now if we look at this boundary, it's actually a little bit wobbly along the edges there, and we want to get rid of these points and just tidy it up. It wasn't the best of yield maps, but it's something that we can work on. So what we'll do is highlight pond, then right mouse click and edit boundaries as we did last year. We now look at the node edit tool, which is the set and bucket button in from the left. We'll highlight that and then select our map around the edge, and we'll see that all the relative points are have now gone blue. And if we right mouse click and select delete, points are started to be deleted, or we can move them. If we hold the left mouse key down, we can move the points around if we want to. So it's we can't group them and delete them, so it can be quite a time-consuming job in being able to do this. And this is one of the reasons why generally, if you're able to create the boundaries separate and away from yield or combining or yield data collection, it's going to be more accurate, because we've got a number of points here that are outside the field boundary that we want to get rid of. So I'll need to get rid of all the points down here to make sure that I've got a good field boundary. Now if we want to move points, we can do. If we want to add a point, then we can do. So it's really however we want to do it that will enable us to get the best boundary that we can for the field. So that's really the process, and all you'll have to do to edit a boundary that is in place, whether it's been created automatically by the combine, or whether it has been created using the auto draw process. Okay, so what we're going to go do now is look at small pond field, which is next door, and this is the field here. What we will do again is right mouse click and go edit boundaries, and we'll then move up to the tool which is called the include polygon tool. And we have a number of options, whether you want to create a rectangle, circle or polygon. We're going to use a polygon. And what we'll do is make sure it's selected, and we'll know that it is once it's got the crosshairs. And we go to the corner of our field, left mouse click, and then left mouse click wherever we want to put a node around the boundary. So we're left mouse clicking all the time here. So we have to be a bit careful of shadows and everything else like that. So creating boundaries manually isn't that accurate if you're on an RTK system. So once we've got round back to the start again, we'll right mouse click and click finish, and we see there that we are now back to our boundary that we had, and the boundary shading that we've seen before. Now if we want to add some points, then we'll select the node tool again, as we did in the previous field, highlight the boundary and right mouse click, add, and we can put nodes in there, or the nodes that we created the boundary with, we can move those if we want to. So this is how we're able to manually create a boundary using the drawing tools on the software. Not overly accurate, but depending on the level of accuracy that you want, that's what you'll be able to do. So now if we save and close that and come out of the software, if we just go to home farm as a whole, we can see here the two fields that we were working on. We've got the one field here. If we take the background image off, we can see the fields that we've been working on and creating the boundaries around. So the boundaries are always showing on the software. It's not something that we can hide. And sometimes what we may want to do is add a label by right mouse clicking on the field to give it the field name, so we know exactly which one it is all of the time. If you want to get rid of them all the names, we will click display options and then untick show text labels, and they will all disappear. So there's a number of different ways. The text doesn't shrink, and so that's the size of text that we have to have, whether on a small field or a large field. They can get in the way a little bit, but it's very easy to turn them on and off once you've got them there. So that's how we create boundaries and edit boundaries using manual methods.